what it is that I'm referring to. Incidentally, when I talk about when I was on Twitter and I was doing Twitter spaces and whatnot, and in 2022 when I first taught inversion fair value gaps and first presented fair value gap, that was in a lecture series, just talking. There was no charts about it. And I was dropping breadcrumbs in 2022 for people that were paying attention. It was always put in the deepest part of the 4-hour-long Twitter space where nobody really has the longevity to stay with it unless they really want to learn. Well, having these rule-based ideas and having these key levels, I get questioned all the time, can you show us your notepad? Because I don't like to have all this stuff on my chart, and you'll see why in a moment. You'll quickly see why in a moment. I don't have all this stuff on my chart when I'm trading. But I have a little yellow notepad, okay, small little notepad, and every day I have all of these levels. What levels? The levels you're seeing right here. The levels that were over here on the January 3rd opening range gap. The opening price. The midnight opening range. Okay, the opening range of 9:30 to 10 o'clock. All of the quadrants, the consequent encroachment levels, previous day's high, previous day's low, the highest high and the lowest low the previous week. The highest high and the lowest low the last 3 days. These are all things that I have written down. Now, because I just told you this, you can see now quickly that it would have been a dud if I just would have showed you the picture of the pad, because it would have been like, what's this? But it's the secret. It's the source code. That's exactly what the price is going to do. But in your hands, having those numbers, it's useless to you unless you know what I've already taught in my YouTube channel. I've already taught you how to find the draw on liquidity. I've already taught you how to do those things. I've already taught you how to determine the bias. So once you have that first critical thing under your belt, then all these other things become useful to you. Like the rules I gave you when there's an opening range gap. How much is an opening range gap that says, nope, I'm not going to look for a gap fill? I taught you that. I taught you that. You think it was like a coincidence that I taught you that and the very next day I'm going to show you that I used it? No, it's not. It's not a coincidence. But let's go on. We're going to take you into the 1 minute chart here. You can see now this is the 1 minute chart of the NASDAQ March 2025. And this is showing the midnight opening range. Okay, so midnight opening range, it's not a gap, it's just a range, just like the opening range for 9:30 to 10 o'clock Eastern time in the morning session, or when regular trading hours start trading for indices. I just reminded myself, these things work in Forex, okay? But as I taught and told you at the beginning, let me go through this portion of the content with indices because I'm going to be predominantly trading indices. So I want to give all the rules and get through all this stuff. And then later on, I'll put little bullet points on for the folks that are only trading Forex. So that way you can implement it and use it there. But none of this stuff is different at all. It's all the same thing. Everything I've taught thus far still applies to Forex, okay? So just hold your horses, okay? Some of you are very, very insistent that I talk about Forex every time I get on YouTube, and that's simply not going to happen. But when it's salient or when it's applicable, I'm going to tell you this is what it is. You're going to see me trading Forex this year, okay? You're going to see me doing it with a real account with Forex.com. So please, let me go through the curriculum the way I want to go through the curriculum. Okay, no one's going to make me go through it faster, and you're not going to deviate and change the way I'm going to do it. So just stop wasting your time leaving comments that I don't ever care to hear from you ever again because you're too demanding. Like, my wife is the only one I give that authority to, and she's nowhere near as demanding as some of you folks are. So, if you look at the opening range, this is the lowest low in that range between 12 and 12:30. And here's the highest high of the range in 12 to 12:30. If you use the levels I gave you in terms of projection, it's 0.5 and 0.1 or 0.1. By having that, it gives us a rough idea what the algorithm's going to do, and it's in close proximity to this extreme at -1 that the daily high will form. Now, simple caveat here, okay? If there's ever a day like non-farm payroll, we already know that non-farm payroll is going to have an enormous amount of manipulation. It's going to have a lot of extras in there because the market's going to be pushed around and intervention is going to go through the roof. So because of that, these numbers won't be as precise on a FOMC day or a non-farm payroll day. So just know that, and like a CPI day too. So those are kind of like heavy hitter days. And you just got to be aware that it might not be as perfect as it would be on other days. So with that caveat introduced, we're going to look at it now. All right, so you can see how the market did, in fact, rally up. Just went beyond the -1 standard deviation of the midnight opening range, then broke lower, created a fair value gap right there, and notice how that delivered to consequent encroachment of that gap and -0.5 level. And then it drops off precipitously and trades down into predetermined ranges that I've already taught you how to use now. And here is the later in the morning session. You can see all of that drop down I just showed you in the previous slide. We went to here, then we went up into the midnight opening range, and worked all the levels in between the high and the low, and shaded in the purple. And then in here, right before non-farm payroll at 8:30 Eastern Time, Friday morning, the market does its little stop run, and anyone short, and I was short initially with one contract, and then, or with a micro, and then it stopped me out, and then I went in again after getting stopped out because I understand what it's likely to do. And that huge pool of liquidity I outlined on Thursday night ahead of non-farm payroll was absolutely going to be delivered. And I was going to aim for that, but I don't want to ride through the 8:30 all the way to 9:30. So I'm just going to take something that makes sense, to make a nice little chunk of change without risking a whole lot of money. And it was with real money when I did it, so make sure you understand that. But it was a really, really nice drop. And you can see here, now notice this says micro, okay? Micro means it's $2 per point. I went short here, trading in a fair value gap, and then it ran up above here, taking my stop, rallying a little bit higher, and then I wanted to see it go short from there. After taking my stop, I felt confident that, okay, I was premature. It wasn't much money. It was literally like $60 or not even that, really. And then it breaks aggressively lower after entering 3 contracts of the micro. And then I took my profit down here just in the same 1 minute interval. So in 1 minute, it was like $1,000, just like bang, just like that, using micros. Now, I'm not telling you to do this with your real money. I'm not telling you to do this with your funded accounts. I'm not telling you to do this with your demo account. I'm not telling you to do this at all. I'm just showing you the things that many of you have asked for all the time. Show me, show me, show me. You can't do this. You're a liar. You're a scammer. You're a fraud. You don't trade with real money. Oh, I forgot to show you. That's a live account, by the way. So, I was a little off on my timing, sorry. But clearly you can see, we're dealing with a real account here. So if you don't know what that means, right down here it saes AMP Live. They don't give you that for a AMP demo. Okay? So at the time of this recording, you can see that little dash right there says that the market has not opened up because it's Sunday. If you look at the time down here, okay, I'm making the video before 6 o'clock. Now, by the time you watch it, it'll probably be after 6 o'clock, but everything is being recorded here on Sunday. All right, so for the folks that say you can't make money with micro contracts, they're a liar. They don't know what they're talking about. And if you do want to scratch that itch and you want to trade non-farm payroll and you don't want to listen to sound logic, and there's a lot of you apparently in the comment section that's living like that. So if you want to do those types of things, trade with one micro contract. That way, when you're wrong, and you're going to be wrong more times than you ever thought you would be, it won't hurt you that bad. Okay? Don't look at these types of moves and think, man, if I'm right and I could do 30 contracts of the mini, I could make so much money, times that by 20 accounts linked up on a funded account, and I could be the next legend. No, you're not. You're not. You're going to hurt yourself. You're going to have to pay more reset fees and pay these jokers that run these companies. Okay, so that's what you're really going to do, and I'm just here to remind you that's exactly what's going to happen to you. So to save yourself a whole lot of drama and heartache and financial loss, Just trade with one micro. And you, if you're being sober-minded, you will see quickly that this is a carnival ride. Unless you have insight that I'm never going to fully divulge to the public. So that's why I tell you don't trade it. But I know what I'm doing. But I know that you're not going to follow my rules. The folks that were leaving comments in the previous video didn't even know